ECU?
R.
Do you bleed purple and gold?
Are you ready to hoist the colors?
Hoist the colors!
It's time for the most in-depth look into the world of ECU athletics. Welcome to Hoist the Colors with your host, Stephen Igo on 94.3 The Game.
Watch the show live on Facebook
and at 943thegame.com. Here's Stephen Igo.
Welcome in. It is Hoist the Colors on a Tuesday, March 3rd. Thanks to everybody for joining us. We are live on Facebook, YouTube, and X on this Tuesday, and we've got a lot to get to. We're going to talk some Pirate hoops. My head is spinning as we take the air because we just ran over a bunch of tiebreaker scenarios with the conference tournament coming up. And yes, there is still a path for ECU, and there's still a path for ECU to get in, even with splitting the final two games. We'll take you through that and a whole lot more. We got to have more discussion as well on the LeClair Classic. We got into it a little bit yesterday with Cliff Godwin, but us ourselves did not get really a chance to give our takeaways on this particular show. Of course, you can listen to the Bucks on the Pond podcast. That's posted to get some takeaways as well. And we're going to do our latest better, worse, even on the football front. Been a while since we've done that. We're going to go to the nickel position today. Pirates lose Jonathan Jean, one of their top tacklers from a season ago, but do return KJ Merrill and added a transfer from UCF and Christian Peterson at that position. So we'll get into that a whole lot more. Busy show ahead. A lot of ECU talk, a lot of different sports. We may touch on softball and women's hoops as well. But, Philip, my brain honestly is kind of turned to mush. To take you behind the curtain, I was doing all these scenarios for ECU's potential tiebreaker scenario for the conference tournament. We'll get into that here in a minute. The path to the tournament is still alive. And I thought I had everything covered. And then Philip brings up the point that the Pirates can still have a multi-way tie with North Texas as well included, which creates a whole nother convoluted series of running numbers, records, etc. And it's a lot, but I think I have figured out that one if we do have to get to it.
Okay. Well, I'm glad you're writing all this down because I tried to help. And, but with trying to help, everything was just kind of mumbo jumbo in my brain. You luckily were writing it down for us. I guess the good thing is we can't end up when you did run the North Texas numbers. The good thing is Tulane and Memphis play each other, so one of those teams is going to win. Well, I guess if Tulane loses out, Memphis goes 1-1, ECU Rice wins out like that could throw in a whole other layer as well as we tie with North Texas.
There is a lot that is happening, and so we'll break it down as best as we can. And of course, we always will have a better understanding after we get past this next series of games. It'll become a lot clearer. Like, who knew that just having two games left, you could still have a bunch of different scenarios? But here's how it sits right now. We'll just dive right in. As always, comments are open on YouTube, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. You can listen to the show on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Kenny Curlin says, just ask AI. I am not trusting AI. There's no way that they can compute all this data.
One time, Kenny Curlin's, I was trying to see if there had been a running back drafted in the top 5 since Saquon Barkley, and the AI response was the last running back drafted in the top 5 was Curtis Martin. And I know for a fact that is not the right answer.
That is not accurate at all. So we'll try to do our best here to make it as simple as possible because I confused myself writing the article and running the numbers. All right, so here's how it sits. ECU is 11-18 overall. That doesn't really matter at all. It's the 6-10 conference record. They are in 12th place, technically speaking. Technically tied with Rice for 11th, but the head-to-head tiebreaker between Rice and ECU, they split 1-1, but there's another tiebreaker involved that gives Rice the advantage if it's just ECU versus Rice. So ECU's in 12th, would be the 12th seed today, which means they don't make the tournament. Only the top 10 teams make the tournament. So you have South Florida leading the way at 13-3, and then all the way down towards the bottom, it starts to get a little convoluted. You've got Tulane at 8-8 in the middle of the pack, currently holding the 7th position. You have North Texas at 8-9, currently holding the 8th position. Temple at 7-9, holding the 9th position. Memphis at 7-9, holding the 10th spot. So technically speaking, ECU can tie anyone from 7 down. Now the tiebreakers from that point forward if you go head-to-head versus Tulane, you're not going to win a tiebreaker. ECU lost to Tulane. If you go head-to-head versus Temple, you're not going to win a tiebreaker. ECU lost to Temple twice. ECU would hold a head-to-head tiebreaker over North Texas, which is 8-9. Just has one game left. They play Rice head-to-head, so we'll get to that in a minute. And ECU only played them once, beat them once, so they would have a head-to-head tiebreaker. They would also have a head-to-head tiebreaker over Memphis, which is just one game ahead of them in the standings right now at 7-9 on a 6-game losing streak. Again, we talked about Rice, 6-10. They have the head-to-head tiebreaker over ECU via tiebreaker procedure, and then you have ECU at 12th. So there's a lot of different scenarios in play. I mean, the most simple scenario would be Philip ECU wins out. Now, the problem with that is ECU has two of its tougher conference games to complete the regular season. They host Tulsa, which is 23-6 overall, fighting for second place, that coveted 2 seed with Wichita State. They're half game out right now of the Shockers for that automatic bout of the semifinals. And then you close at UAB on Sunday, which is a tough place to play. So before we dive into any of the further discussion of the tiebreakers, I think realistically, I mean, yeah, could you win out? It's possible, but realistically, you're probably at best splitting these two. I mean, is that fair to say? We can go over the if you win out tiebreakers, but I think like winning Thursday and find a way to split is the more likely scenario, and you can still find your way in that scenario, which we'll get to in a minute.
Yeah, I think so. I think we should at least lay that out first, just because, hey, it's probably more likely, and, it's going to be tough to win at UAB. They're going to have some time off. They play tonight. They are on the road at Charlotte, but similar travel down to Birmingham. Obviously, ECU has to play Thursday, only 2 days off, and 4 days off for UAB. So, but Tulsa's going to be tough too. So, yeah, let's go into the one scenario, and then we'll go from there.
All right. So, ECU splits scenario. All right, there's 3 different scenarios I have here. If the Pirates split their final 2 games, then Rice would have to lose both games in order for ECU to get the head-to-head, obviously, because if they finish just tied with Rice in this scenario, then that would, give Rice a tiebreaker. So in this scenario, ECU splits the final 2, ECU loses both, Rice loses both. Now, the odds of this happen are slim because they play North Texas and lowly UTSA, but that would eliminate Rice from a tiebreaker scenario, and Memphis loses both games. That would give ECU a clear advantage as the 10th seed in the field. All right.
So here's the thing with Rice. If we're tied with Rice, we split with them, right?
Correct.
And you said it goes, the next tiebreaker would be the first win over the highest team in the standings. If ECU's win is UAB and their loss is Tulsa, Tulsa can pass, their win is Tulsa. Their loss is UAB. But Tulsa could still pass Wichita State in the standings. Rice, I don't think, did beat Tulsa, but ECU beat Tulsa. So as long as we beat Tulsa and they pass Wichita, meaning Wichita's got to lose, and Tulsa's got to win their other game, then ECU could have the tiebreaker over Rice, I think.
So Wichita did. The problem is Wichita only has one game left.
They would need to lose that game.
Yep.
Yeah, Tulsa would have to lose to ECU and beat Temple because Tulsa beat Rice both times, and they would be the second team in the standings, so we would have the win over the second-place team. Their highest win would be over the third-place team. So sorry to go off, but yes, there is a scenario where we could still beat Rice in the tiebreaker.
And as it stands today, Rice has the win over Wichita State, which is the second-place team, which is why they have the tiebreaker over ECU. All right, scenario 4, probably more realistic because I don't see Rice losing to UTSA. It's possible, but unlikely.
Yeah.
ECU splits the final 2 games. Rice splits the final 2 games. They go to North Texas this weekend, and then this week, and then they play the UTSA game in the finale. And Memphis loses out, which they host first place USF, and they go to Tulane. In this scenario, it would create a 3-team tie for 10th place. Everybody would have a 7-11 record, which ECU would win due to the conference's tiebreaker procedures. Mini conference formed between ECU, Rice, and Memphis, allowing the Pirates to prevail with a 2-1 combined record. In this scenario, Rice lost to Memphis and split with ECU, so they would have a 1-2 record, and then Memphis beat Rice in the lone game but lost to ECU in the lone game, and that would be a 1-1 record. So ECU would advance based on winning percentage. So to me, the most realistic scenario is a 3-way tie. If ECU splits the final two, really you need Memphis to lose out, and then I think there's a very good likelihood ECU could get in.
Yeah.
Am I wrong?
No, you're not. Which would have us
I'm
playing
just trying to make sure I'm not getting lost.
No, that's right. That's spot on. That would have us playing at 8:30 on Wednesday night against the number 7 seed.
There you go. And Memphis, I don't even know what Vegas does with Memphis now. Now they were favored by 5.5 over ECU. Obviously, did not play worth a crap. And then what is their motivation level? They play USF. We talked about Tulane. There's a chance Tulane's still playing for a conference berth as well, technically speaking. So
yeah,
I just don't know if they're even motivated to show up in these games. Because South Florida's playing for an at-large bid at this point.
Yeah, Penny better light a fire under their rear end, though, because he's got a reason to be motivated. It's to keep his job. The players themselves, no. But Penny looked totally out of it on Sunday. Didn't look like he cared. No emotion. I don't know if they've already told him they're firing him, or maybe they told him he's good. So at the end of the day, these last few games just don't matter. Either way, I don't know, man. They looked like they didn't want to be there. They looked, I've seen guys playing pickup ball that looks more into the game than what they looked. When the going got tough, they never tried to fight back. I wouldn't be surprised if they lose both their remaining games by 15-plus points.
You just never know. Nothing would surprise me. And Memphis people are ready for a change. There's a huge buyout. We'll see. I think if he misses the conference tournament, I just don't know how Memphis runs it back in this one bid league with the money they spend. So I think realistically that's your most likely scenario of ECU making the conference tournament outside of finding a way to win the final 2 games. And in that scenario, all you would need is Memphis and Rice to lose one apiece, which is very possible as well. There's still a scenario that Temple, which is 7-9 in the league, if they lose its final 2 games and ECU wins its final 2 games, Temple, by the way, closes against Tulane and at Tulsa. If they lose those 2 and ECU were to win the final 2, ECU would leapfrog them. But again, if they finished with the same record, Temple would have the tiebreaker. The other crazy scenario, just to put a bow on all this, as Kenny says, this gives me a headache. It's giving me a headache as I say all this. So, look, I get it. But there could still be a 4-way tie at 8-10 between North Texas, Rice, Memphis, and ECU that would benefit the Pirates. So, let me see if I can get this right. All right, this right. Rice, if they beat North Texas and then beat UTSA, which would have them winning out, ECU wins out, and Memphis were to split, this would create a 4-way tie between ECU, North Texas, Rice, and Memphis. And again, you would have your mini conference formed, and ECU would have a 3-1 record in this mini conference because of a 1-0 record versus North Texas, a 1-0 record versus Memphis, and a 1-1 record versus Rice. Rice would have a 3-2 record overall. Memphis 2-2, North Texas 1-4, best winning percentage advances. That would give ECU, they might even give them the 9 seed, Philip, but that would definitely have them in.
So ECU would get the 9, and then Rice would get the 10. I think. Now, with that being said, I don't know if it's like we advanced ECU and Rice. So now I don't know if that's how they do it, or ECU was the best out of these, or they take the 2 that advance and then create a 2-team deal and then go to their head-to-head tiebreaker, which is a split, and then it would come down to whether or not ECU beat Tulsa which I guess under this scenario they would have to beat Tulsa. But then did Tulsa win their other game and Wichita State lose their other game? In that scenario, ECU's the 9 no matter what. If any other thing other than that happens, and then they then take the 4, all right, we're advancing the top 2. Now let's redo this. Then ECU would be the 10. But I don't know how that works once they eliminate the bottom 2. If they redo it, I just don't know.
You lost me there about midway through, but I think you explained it right, because if you go – I'm not going to go further into this because it's just too convoluted. But if you go to the American website and you go to basketball, you can go to the More tab, far right corner, and they have the tiebreaking procedure PDF doc. And if you want to lose your mind, just read through it. That's all I got.
I think we already made them all lose their mind. Do we even have any viewers left? Did everybody just say, shut the hell up, you two, and quit watching?
According to my YouTube feed, we have stayed steady on our viewership. We actually just gained 2 viewers. So I think people they're riveted by this conversation.
Let's go.
Case in point, ECU still has a path, is what the point of this exercise was. And I think realistically, I find it very tough. ECU's going to win the final 2, but if they split, there's a path. You want to pull for Memphis to lose, and you want to ideally pull for, I think, Rice to lose, although Rice beating North Texas does not end the scenario. Is
that game tonight? That game's tonight.
Rice
and North Texas, 8 o'clock, I think. I'm like 99% sure.
So we're going to get some potential resolution to the Rice and North Texas scenario, and then we can do it all again tomorrow.
Oh, sorry, it's tomorrow night. These games, when I went to the ESPN, it just bumped me tomorrow. I didn't realize. So that UAB comment I made earlier about playing Charlotte, they're playing them tomorrow, not tonight, and then Rice and North Texas tomorrow as well.
All right, well, there's your scenario. We'll get more into it. ECU Tulsa is Thursday night. A lot of American action this week, Thursday night. ECU does still have a path, and I know it's been a rough season. But, hey, man, if you get Mike Schwartz in the tournament, he's going to win a basketball game. He has won a conference tournament basketball game every single year as head coach at ECU. And if he makes it this year, I am guaranteeing the Pirates are going to win a conference tournament game. The problem is they just got to get there first. All right, let's get a break in. We'll talk some baseball on the other side. Keith LeClair Classic takeaways, more, and on that discussion after these messages, after this break.
You know what the problem is with standard belts? Usually you have to choose between too tight or the opposite, too loose. But with Anson Belt and Buckle, you don't have to choose. We got rid of the holes and instead have a track system designed for micro-adjustability. That way you can enjoy a perfect fit every time. Anson Belt and Buckle. Find your perfect fit today.
Healthwise Pharmacy rounds the bases with all of your infusion, retail, compounding, and medical equipment needs. Locally owned and operated by pharmacist Marcy Parker, Healthwise has grown to be your most trusted provider for infusion services. Currently providing in-home or on-site infusions in North Carolina, South Carolina, and Virginia. Visit Healthwise Pharmacy at 615B South Memorial Drive or call 252-295-0059 to speak to a patient service representative to find the option that best suits your needs.
The best burgers around. Everyone loves a thick, juicy, and fresh burger. Tiebreakers does real burgers better than anybody. And don't forget about the cheese sticks, fresh salads, and more. So don't just go to any burger-themed restaurant chain. It's time to break the chain and eat local. Tiebreakers, burgers and sports at its best.
Go Pirates! Arrgh!
In this age of globalization, we've learned that bigger isn't always better. Ever tried to get phone help from a big corporation from a real person? Right. That's what's so nice about Phelps Chevrolet. After more than 50 years serving our community, Phelps remains family-owned and operated. Mike, Daryl, Wave, West, Alan, and Clay deliver hometown service and integrity, same as always. They share your experience, they share your values, and they are ready to help with any motoring need. Come get you one.
Daughtridge Gas and Oil has been your dependable propane supplier for 95 years. Their trained technicians can service and properly install all your propane and natural gas appliances. Plus, Daughtridge Gas and Oil is your backyard expert with fire pits, grills, smokers, and more, including quality outdoor furniture at their Greenville Patio and Hearth Shop at 1901 Charles Boulevard. Go by and see the knowledgeable staff at Daughtridge Gas and Oil for propane delivery or call 756-1345.
You have a choice when you invest in insurance, and when you choose First State Insurance Advisors, you're working with people you can trust. Clark Stallings has deep ties in the community. His team, including Keaton Smith, Regina Asby, Phil Leyva, Max Joyner Jr., Max Joyner III, and Ginger Smith, provides knowledgeable and professional advice. First State Insurance Advisors is an independent insurance agency. They offer all types of personal insurance as well as various types for business. Call or email First State Insurance Advisors today. We want to be your trusted choice.
Oh, hey.
Welcome back.
You got here just in time. This is Hoist the Colors on 94.3 The Game.
All right, welcome back in. Hoist the Colors, baseball talk. Coming your way in a minute. Philip Pilkington with us producing today, and our guest today as well. Just to tie a bow on the basketball discussion, to make it simple, pull for ECU to win, pull for Memphis to lose, and pull for Rice to lose, while knowing that Rice beating North Texas would not be the end of the world, potentially. But I think that's the easiest way to sum it up. From our first segment discussion, I have an article out here shortly where I'll try to make more sense in words. I don't know if I can do it, but I'll try. All right, ECU baseball talk. Pirates winning week, 3-1 in the Keith LeClair Classic week, 2-1 in the Keith LeClair Classic, 1-0 midweek with a win over Charleston. And the Pirates are now 6-5-1 on the season. Before we maybe dive into some of the specifics, Philip, I'll give you a chance to give your takeaways. I kind of gave mine last night on the podcast, Bucks on the Pond, but you haven't had a chance to share the Keith LeClair Classic thoughts. We heard Cliff Godwin yesterday. What kind of stood out to you most from the week?
Well, great turnout. Tough weather Friday, but great turnout. I feel like all weekend. Really proud of the fans for getting out there, and what is an important weekend for this program. As for the team, look, man, it's I think we know our defensive nine. Really do. We're going to be getting some guys back from injury, and maybe those guys slot into some places. But overall, I feel like you can go into postseason play with these 9 guys being your defensive nine. Bottom of the order started to pick up finally. Colby Wallace, we knew it was just going to take him barreling up a couple, and I think it was that Saturday game, if I remember correctly. It was a single. Yep. And then his lone out was a hard-hit ball right at the center fielder. He still barreled it up. So he found a way, and I think that was the second AB, if I remember correctly, to square up the ball, and now I think he's back to being Colby Wallace that we all know and love. So bottom of the lineup hitting better, Walker Barron hitting better. We know the top of the lineup is good, and look, that's kind of what I took away from it. Still think we need to see a little more out of Joe Webb as far as the pitching goes. But, hey, great weekend out of all 3 of your starters. Van Kempen, was it Van Kempen or who was it that let up 8 hits? Oh, it was Weber. He lets up 8 hits and 5 1/3, but he pitched really well with guys on the base paths. Only let up 2 runs. And I think it just shows to his maturity as a freshman that at most innings he faced traffic, and he didn't seem to change his body language at all on the mound when he faced traffic.
Good thoughts for sure. And you look at if you look at the game by game error columns, which by the way, shout out Johnny Stats for bringing that to my attention. It shows 2 against Rutgers, but realistically, those happened when they made those defensive changes late. I think it was Hakame and Boucher had errors, or maybe there was a combination and a throw-in error. I can't remember exactly how it played out, but either way, it was like when it was 12-1 or something. So I'm just going to take those away, and maybe that's unfair, but those were not errors with the game on the line. And you look at it, you've had if you take those 2 errors away, you've had 1 error over the past 5 games, and you've had 3 errors over the past 8 games combined. And I agree with your point. You're just playing clean defense right now. Now you've still had a pass ball here or there, a wild pitch that have hurt you, but overall the defense since the insertion of Matt Lashley has become night and day. And I think if you just look at where Matt Lashley was inserted, and this baseball team since. They are 4-1-1 since that point. And to me, I term Sunday's game as the first that's baseball game of the year. Like, I know Cliff Godwin was mad after the game, and like that's obviously it's his team. He knows them better than us. But like, I feel like if one or two of those hard hit balls get down, it changes the complete feeling, complexion of the game. And ECU, they struck out 3 times during the game. They struck out Western Carolina, I think, 12 times during the game. Like, typically that ratio is going to play to more success than not. And Western made a lot of good plays defensively. That game doesn't bother me at all. To be honest, I still think this team is trending in the right direction. I think the problem people maybe don't feel as good about it, Phillip, and rightfully so, is the overall record. Like, you still have that series loss to Xavier. You lost that midweek game to Campbell. I think if you pick up one of those wins, 2 of those wins, you're feeling great right now. But I just think because the overall record's 6-5-1, maybe we're still a little bit hesitant.
I think so, but yeah, man, it's like get rid of those first 4 games. I know you can't on your resume, but you're 6-5-1, and you're 5-1-1 if you get rid of those first 4 games. So, or no, maybe that's not 100% mathed out, but
5-2-1.
5-2-1, yeah. That's right, yeah, because you'd have lost at Western and lost to Carolina. And in one of those losses is to Carolina, who only has 1 loss on the year, and guess what? It was ECU. So for a resume standpoint, I can understand maybe a little bit of still hesitation, like, ooh, what do we got to do to host? Is it an uphill climb? I understand that, but as far as can this team accomplish all the goals that they set for themselves at the beginning of the year? Yes, they still can. Yes, I still feel good about it. No, I'm not hesitant because there's 5 tick marks on the loss column, because this team, this version of the Pirates, the Matt Lashley version, the Kobe Wallace back at third version, that's a damn good baseball team.
And, I brought this up on the podcast last night, but you just look at the stats. ECU is striking out opposing hitters at a high rate. They are not walking a lot of guys. And then offensively, they are getting on base at a high rate, and they are not striking out. They have struck out Phillips 62 times compared to 61 free passes reach base. I mean, that is an incredible ratio. 41 walks, 20 hit by pitches. They're 8 of 8 stolen bases. They're not running a ton, but they're efficient. The only thing they're kind of lacking right now offensively is the pop. 7 home runs as a team through 12 games compared to 15 given up. So is that a concern at this point, or is that something you feel will come around? You only have 1 home run combined between Colby Wallace, Austin Irby, and Jack Bogley, who I think we all expected to hit 8 to 10 home runs this season.
No, not yet. Do you want to go into postseason play where you're still only hitting 1 home run every 2 games? No. Because that's going to hurt you in postseason play. You got to be hitting at least 1 a game down the stretch. But right now, hey, man, it's March 3rd. I'm worried about how many arms do we trust more than we have in the past. How good is our defense? It's a hell of a lot better than it was 2 weeks ago. Do we trust Walker Barron to throw guys out still in second? Yes, I do. Those are the things that I'm worried about right now. Home runs, I say let's regroup about mid-April. If we're still having these numbers, yeah, time to worry. But it's all good. And it's cold. I mean, there's been a few that have gotten hit to the track that, it's going to warm up. It's going to be a little warmer in Clearwater. It's going to be a little warmer wherever the regional is than it has been the last 3 weeks.
Johnny Stat says there's technically 64 free passes if you add Austin Irby's 3 intentional base on balls. So the ECU has officially walked more than they've struck out, walked and gotten hit by a pitch more than they struck out, which is pretty incredible. 12 games into the season. Johnny Stats also adding Pirate pitching was outstanding. 36 Ks, only 3 walks. This is the first time that the 3 weekend starters pitched into the 6th inning since Trey, Zach, and Jake. Jake did it in February of 2024 against UNC. The other thing we talked about in the pod last night, and I think bears repeating, is, again, the high-end pitching for me is top-notch. It's just now we need to see a few more arms develop. But, I still feel like Joseph Webb, and I don't know when it's going to come for him or Frank Saccone or Ryan Towers, Thomas Paxton, Gavin Marley. I still think these guys are going to develop into a role. It's just, how much longer do we have to wait? And the team has to maybe find the right spots to get their confidence up, because I think you're seeing a few guys struggle with confidence right now. And so it's not as easy as it seems to say, hey, we need to develop more arms. Like, you still you still have to win games right now.
You do. Also, I like that Saturday, no walks. First time, I think, since 2024, Val said, since there were no walks in an entire game. As to when you get these guys in, next week. You have a double midweek next week, Tuesday and Wednesday, the normal spring break, double midweek. Your second one in that is William and Mary. You feel like you can put up some runs in that game. You historically play well against them. I think that is a great opportunity to get in Sakong, Paxton, Marley. Marley's been good. I want to see Marley a little more. 3 outings. I think he's only let up 1 run, 2 walks maybe. I like Gavin Marley. He's still one of the guys I trust. Towers and Tolick, they're still both coming back from injury. I know more mentioned Towers there. Because he's only pitched what? He started the 2 midweeks. Is that correct?
Yeah, and then he had the flu.
Yeah, he's going to be all right.
He had 2 appearances and then started midweek. Yeah.
Okay.
He had the flu and lost 10 pounds this past week, so which is why he probably did not pitch. So
yeah, I think they still trust Ryan Towers. There's plenty of guys. I'm not. Look, if some of these guys haven't been put in more high leverage situations 3, 4, 5 weeks from now, yeah, maybe. But I just think right now you've been playing well enough of late where you feel like, hey, you haven't really put these guys in tough situations because your starters have been going so deep in games. There to Johnny Stats points, everybody worked into the 6th. And, when you get that back-to-back Tuesday, Wednesday, midweek, some of these other guys will have to step up and pitch. And if they pitch well, you feel good. If they don't, then you give them a shot the following week and see if they can bounce back.
For me, the question offensively or position player-wise, Philip, is anybody going to take a stranglehold of the left field position? And, you got to give Davin Whitaker credit. He's trending positively. I just think ECU is going to need, a Carlos Hakame or even an Alex Peltier once he gets back from injury. Another right-handed hitter to kind of get going. And obviously Hakame would play second, and that would shift Burris to left. It's just maybe even Sabater. I mean, he's another guy who had the flu this week. I feel like we have not seen the end of those guys, and at some point those guys one of them, maybe multiple of them, will come along. They just need more of a shot, and it's a long season. But that's kind of what I'm watching now with the position players.
Yeah, so here's where I'm going to go first with that is Peltier. Peltier's been hurt. I think, he's one of your best defensive outfielders as it is. I think maybe even coming into the season, we kind of thought that he would play in right and Herring would DH. Because Herring, he's not quick enough to be a great outfielder. He's a great hitter, but Vogeley's hitting the ball great too. So that's kind of where that gets. Is it Vogeley or Vogeley? I haven't confirmed.
Vogeley, I believe, is the official pronunciation.
Yeah. Yep. But I'm trying to see, what is Herring hitting on the season?
422.
Yeah. So I can't take him out of the lineup. But, so I think Peltier is instead of fighting for that right field spot, which was what I kind of thought going into the year, will fight for the left field spot. Now, if Vogeley falls off and Herring stays hot, do you move Herring to DH? Do you put Peltier in right? And then, like you said, you got Sabater. Davin's solid, but, like I said, until he starts messing up, I say give it to him. He's seeing the ball pretty well at the plate. He's not the most pure hitter on the roster, but he's playing a good outfield, so I don't know.
Still to be determined for sure, and we'll see where it goes next. Pirates back in action at UNC Wilmington on Wednesday. People saying the home runs will come when the weather gets warmer, and Josh Thomas adding it's going to be warm down in Conway this weekend. Bat should come alive. Bruce Willis asking, when does Alex Peltier come back? Should be soon. He's getting close. He has got a forearm deal, so they're being careful with his swings, his throwing, but should be soon, maybe this week. We'll have James Giglio in studio tomorrow. He's covering the UNCW game, and we'll preview UNCW ECU tomorrow on the show. So there's some baseball talk again. You want more, check out Bucks on the Pond podcast. That is up, and we will have more coverage of baseball tomorrow on the show. When we come back, we're going to talk some football. Been a while since we've done better, worse, even. As far as our positional breakdown, spring ball getting close. We'll do the nickels on the other side. This is Hoist the Colors.
This is about you, your family, and the health of all who live in Eastern North Carolina. This is about the transformation of a health system into something more powerful and more human, about creating new ways to treat disease and keep you well. This is about ECU Health, which is to say, it's really all about you. ECU Health. Minds, hearts, purpose.
You have a choice when you invest in insurance, and when you choose First State Insurance Advisors, you're working with people you can trust. Clark Stallings has deep ties in the community. His team, including Keaton Smith, Regina Asby, Phil Leyva, Max Joyner Jr., Max Joyner III, and Ginger Smith, provides knowledgeable and professional advice. First State Insurance Advisors is an independent insurance agency. They offer all types of personal insurance as well as various types for business. Call or email First State Insurance Advisors today. We want to be your trusted choice agency.
Acre Station Meat Farm, along with Lane Angus Beef, bring you farm to fork beef.
Stock your freezers now with affordable beef boxes, just in time for the grilling season.
Farm to fork beef brings quality local beef to your family. From your traditional butcher shop, Acre Station Meat Farm. Come on down to Acre Station Meat Farm and find out why we're #1 in fresh cuts and friendly service.
Acre Station Meat Farm, Highway 32 North, Pinetown. At National Finance, we're all about hometown support, just like ECU football. National Finance helps us win on and off the field. They've got your back when you need it most. Fast, easy personal loans for life's big plays. And just like us, they're committed to Eastern North Carolina. National Finance, proud supporters of ECU athletics. Visit nfcmoney.com for loans as fast as today.
Make every day electric on the Kawasaki Electro 20 electric balance bike. Maximize the fun with long run times, impressive top speed, and Kawasaki build quality. Easy adjustability and smooth handling make everyday riding more enjoyable. And the standard MTB type tires provide off-pavement capability. The Kawasaki Electro 20 is the electric balance bike that's built to rip. Go to Ron Ayers Motorsports, Memorial Drive north of the airport, Greenville.
Remember, get the podcast of the show on the IBX Media app or where you get your podcasts.
Got it. You don't have to tell me twice. I remember it exactly.
Steve Igo and Hoist the Colors on 94.3 The Game.
Third segment here, Hoist the Colors. Talking some football now. We've talked basketball. We talked baseball. Let's talk some football. We haven't done our better, worse, even category in a while. Spring football is scheduled to start in a couple weeks. Next week is spring break for the students. The week after that, football practice will be back. We've yet to get a schedule. And yes, I know we've got more comments in the chat, Philip, about people wanting to interview the coaches and the players. And look, we can only do what we can do with the access we're given. So, I mean, we've tried to get them on, and I'm hopeful we'll get some access during spring ball, but that's something they're keeping internally right now, but we haven't really seen a whole lot of production outside of the podcast Jarrett Osmick does, which is a great job with ECU Creative, but it's a whole other discussion we could get into another day.
Yeah, just like you guys want it, trust me, we want to do it too. So.
Yeah. I mean,
we are the messengers.
Yep, we're doing what we can. So in the meantime, we're breaking things down as far as the roster, and we've done a lot of positions. Today we're doing a smaller position room, but still an impactful one, the nickel position. I've discussed this before, but ECU, they basically run a 4-2-5. Now that fifth defensive back is a hybrid linebacker / safety type, kind of a tweener, which is often a more of a DB build, but a guy who plays the nickel position. And so you got to have a guy who's good fitting the run from the secondary, but also can play coverage. Specifically on some slots, some tight ends, etc. Play some man, play some zone. He's got to be a very versatile defender. So last year, ECU played Jonathan Jean in this position as a starter along with KJ Merrill. Those were your two primary options. You had other depth options as well. So what we've been doing is better, worse, even is a position room in a better point, an even spot, or worse than where the season ended last year compared to now. So let me run through the numbers here. ECU loses Jonathan Jean, who was a graduate transfer from Rice. Last season played 419 snaps. 45 tackles, 3.5 tackles for loss, 2 sacks, 3 pass breakups, 9 quarterback pressures, 69.8 PFF grade. Really good run defense, solid in coverage, just a solid player. Jonathan Jean as a senior transfer last year. Omarion Lewis was a backup. He transferred to Campbell, and Jean graduated. So Omarion Lewis did not play last year and is now at Campbell. So notable returners, Kevon, KJ Merrill, 13 games, 347 snaps, 28 tackles, 4.5 tackles for loss, 4 quarterback pressures, an interception in the Military Bowl, 2 pass breakups, 73.7 Pro Football Focus grade. He finished the year with a really good grade in coverage, 80.8 per PFF, and a so-so run defense grade, 60.5 run defense grade. Pirates also return a couple of backups, Josh Benton and Alex Moy. These two guys came in as walk-ons. Josh Benton from Jacksonville High School, Alex Moy from Farmville Central. They've moved around multiple positions. Benton's kind of your more physical, bigger nickel. He'll play more against 12 personnel option teams. Last year, 84 snaps, 13 games, 66.8 PFF grade, 72.6 run defense. And then Alex Moy, 8 games with a 58.7 PFF grade, missed the second half of the season due to an injury, returning for the bowl game. ECU also added a transfer, Christian Peterson from UCF, 12 games, 30 snaps, 64.2 PFF grade. Didn't play a ton his first 2 years at UCF, but solid player, projectable, and I think he'll play a pretty big role here. So he joins the mix of KJ Merrill and also Josh Benton and Alex Moy. He also was a high school teammate of both Demarius Hines and also another transfer they added as well. So Westlake, Raymond Mosby out of Louisville. So Westlake High School has 3 members now in the ECU secondary, which we'll hit on Mosby during our corner preview. So overall, Philip, you lose your starter, technically speaking, in Jonathan Jean, but you bring back a guy who's played a lot of ball in KJ Merrill. You bring back a couple of backups, and you add a transfer. So this looks like a pretty solid room. I would think the floor is even, because Jean was a solid player, maybe not a game changer. I think at least you're even here, maybe better. I think a lot of it depends on Christian Peterson.
I think a lot of it does, and we don't know exactly what Peterson's going to bring. You mentioned only 30 snaps there. Everybody who's on the roster is going to be slightly better. They're going to have another offseason in, I guess it's a different system, but pretty much I think we're going to run a lot of the same stuff in the system. And with, being a collegiate football player, but you did lose your starter. So just because you did lose your true starter and the guy you're replacing with didn't play a lot of snaps, it's hard for me to go better. But because I think everybody's going to continue to take a step up. And again, Jonathan Jean, solid player, definitely a good piece, but not a game changer. There's no reason to go worse either, so I'm just going to go even. I think we're in a good spot, and they've done a really good job. You and I were talking about last spring. How are they going to handle this room? Was it going to be different guys against different type teams? And to your point earlier, to an extent it was. It wasn't like 100% like, hey, the depth chart changes week to week based off the opponent, but there was definitely some differences, and, yeah, I think they're picking up right where we left off.
Brian Butterworth also back to coach this room. He's done a good job the last few years and will continue to lead this room. The other thing you just don't know is if ECU is really deep at safety, there's a good chance you could see one of those guys move to nickel.
Yeah.
Like last year, Demarius Hines was pushing to be a starting safety. You had Tegan Wilk and Jamarly Riddle as 2 of your best secondary members. And, like, at the end of the day, let's say, for example, which we'll get to this more in the safety preview, but on paper, you return Aiden Duncanson, Kamari McKinley, who played a lot last year. You get Demarius Hines back, and Zaire Gamble comes in as a proven transfer from App State. So you have 4 safeties that you feel pretty good about. It would not shock me if they're in camp and they're saying, we got to figure out a way to get player X on the field more. All right, let's move him to nickel. So You'll see guys cross-train there. It is a position you can kind of utilize different personnel in different spots. And I think that's why Blake Harrell likes utilizing this room is because – hey, if they're playing a run-heavy team, they need a guy who is a run fitter versus more of a coverage guy like KJ Merrill proved to be last year. So it is a versatile position.
And nobody's ever been recruited technically for this room. Maybe some transfers, but these guys come in as safeties, or they come in as corners, or they come in as a athletic outside linebacker. It's not like they're like, hey, you want to come play our what they call the star position? Welcome to our star room. Like, no, it's not what you're recruited as. So everybody in this room started somewhere else, or at least with intent to start somewhere else. So, yeah, they'll move guys. And heck, maybe even one of these other guys, they find out, this guy doesn't tackle very good in the flats, but he's got great coverage. All right, let's bump him out to corner. Or, gosh, this guy's bigger and slower than we thought he was, but he can tackle real well. Hey, you want to play some outside linebacker? Like, his defense, man, you're going to move guys around all the time. Just ask Joey football.
You really, especially with this staff, they're not afraid to make a shift in the offseason. Like, that's what spring ball is for. And so, look, we'll see guys move around, and we'll see adjustments made. That's what the offseason is for. And whether it's bumping a nickel back to safety, a safety to nickel, a safety to corner, an inside linebacker to nickel, or vice versa, like, these things happen quite a bit. So, we saw Sam Danka play 14 different positions as well. And one of those was nickel to start with. So we'll see how it plays off. Also, a couple freshmen coming in, DJ McClendon and David Coleman. So you could see those two guys maybe get some reps as well at nickel or safety. So we'll get more into this room in the safety preview too. But, again, I feel pretty good about this defense, and I'm interested to see how it looks in spring ball. A couple comments here. Davy Jones says maybe the inability to get the coaches to talk is a good sign that behind the scene things are going really well. You would, and then pointing out that we will find out more about our football team when spring practice starts. It's also too, and look, I think if I reached out to Blake Harrell directly and was like, "Hey, coach, can I get you on for a 15-minute interview?" He would have no problem doing it. It's just more of they're trying to do things internally at times and have more control over what they do. So, but maybe it's not the worst thing in the world because from a information perspective, you have two new coordinators, Philip. You don't really want that out there. At the least, you're trying to surprise Bama a little bit, especially offensively.
Yeah. Look, you got new coordinators, and so does everybody else who's picked to finish at the top of this conference, right? So, you've got no read on anybody. Nobody's got any read on you. Guess it's the way to keep it that way.
No doubt. We'll see. I'm ready for some spring ball, though, at least to get out there. Hopefully we get some warm weather, see how much access we get. But I'm excited for some football, man. It'll be here before you know it. Again, a couple weeks away. We'll continue to dive into these. We got to do corner. We got to do safety. I guess we'll do special teams. No Nick Mozzie, so, I'm not feeling great about that, but we'll make it work.
We'll need to kill a segment at some point once basketball ends. So, yeah, we can do special teams.
Basketball's ending? We're just going to keep this train going, man. Conference tournament.
Well, dude, April will be here before we know it. And after the first Monday in April when we host our championship parade, there's only so much you can say.
That is true. March Madness can't last forever. By the way, big news out of MLB. An Atlanta Braves player has been suspended 162 games after testing positive for performance-enhancing drugs. We'll discuss that and more in our final segment. We'll talk about ECU women's basketball as well. They're heading to the tournament. That's guaranteed, and they're guaranteed a several-round bye. We'll tell you what that means, too. This is Hoist the Colors on a Tuesday.
You know what the problem is with standard belts? Usually you have to choose between too tight or the opposite, too loose. But with Anson Belt and Buckle, you don't have to choose. We got rid of the holes and instead have a track system designed for micro-adjustability. That way you can enjoy a perfect fit every time. Anson Belt and Buckle. Find your perfect fit today.
Daughtridge Gas and Oil has been your dependable propane supplier for 95 years. Their trained technicians can service and properly install all your propane and natural gas appliances. Plus, Daughtridge Gas and Oil is your backyard expert with fire pits, grills, smokers, and more, including quality outdoor furniture at their Greenville Patio and Hearth Shop at 1901 Charles Boulevard. Go by and see the knowledgeable staff at Daughtridge Gas and Oil for propane delivery or call 756-1345.
Other restaurants claim their food is fresh and fast, but are they friendly? At Moore's, you're treated like family the minute you walk into their doors. With locations in Winterville, New Bern, Swansboro, Morehead City, and Jacksonville. We've been practicing what we preach since 1945. At Moore's, our barbecue is slow cooked and smoked over real wood daily until it's so tender it's falling off the bone. Combined with our fresh chicken, cook-to-order seafood, and homemade fixins, we're sure you'll agree. If it's not Moore's, it's less.
Your confidence makes everything look good. You see the world in vivid color, not black and white. Swing through your neighborhood Fantastic Sam's cut in color and let our experienced stylists take you from everyday to extraordinary.
Fantastic Sam's hair salons are locally owned and operated. Our full-service salons are conveniently located in Goldsboro, Kinston, Greenville, New Bern, Jacksonville, and Calabash. Stop in today at Fantastic Sam's, where the possibilities are endless.
You have a choice when you invest in insurance, and when you choose First State Insurance Advisors, you're working with people you can trust. Clark Stallings has deep ties in the community. His team, including Keaton Smith, Regina Asby, Phil Leva, Max Joyner Jr., Max Joyner III, and Ginger Smith, provides knowledgeable and professional advice. First State Insurance Advisors is an independent insurance agency. They offer all types of personal insurance as well as various types for business. Call or email First State Insurance Advisors today.
We're live with Steve and Igo on 94.3 The Game.
Hoist the Johnny Roger!
Now, back to Hoist the Colors.
All right, welcome back in. Hoist the Colors. Big MLB news breaking earlier in the show. Philip Hilton joining us back in 94.3 The Game studios. Neither of us are a Braves fan, but our buddy Scott Rogers is. He sent a not-so-great text message earlier because Jurickson Profar is being suspended 162 games an entire season for testing positive for another performance-enhancing drug. The second time this has happened in the last year. Last year, he tested positive for a drug to start the 2025 season and missed 80 games as a result. Now he is ineligible for this season, the World Baseball Classic, and the postseason. So, tough start for Braves country.
Why would you voluntarily put a needle in your arm anyways?
I mean, to do it twice? I mean, come on, man.
I don't know, man. I don't get it. Did he even make the WBC roster?
He was going to play for the Netherlands.
Okay. Yeah, USA playing the San Francisco Giants in a tune-up game at 3 o'clock today, by the way.
Dude, we're a couple days away from the WBC starting.
Couple days? Homie, we are 9 hours away from watching Taiwan play Australia at 10 o'clock tonight. Couple days away.
Baseball Classic?
That is the first game, yeah. And then Saturday night.
March 5th was it?
No, our first game. I think it's March 4th their time because it'll be tomorrow, but it's tonight for us. But and then Saturday, after you and I watch the Pirates whip up on the Beach Chickens, we get to go back to the beach house and watch Team USA play because they play at 8 o'clock. So we'll miss the first couple innings, but we can listen to it on the radio on the way back to the house, and then we can catch the end of the game. It's going to be great.
I'm jacked, man. I guess I'm watching World Baseball Classic baseball tonight, so I was just informed of that. So excited for some WBC action. All right, women's basketball, we haven't had a chance to discuss it yet. The ladies get a 64-57 win over Charlotte in their home finale on Saturday. That secures the number 2 seed in the conference tournament. What that means is the women will not have to play until the semifinals. Now with the new American Conference tournament format, just like the men, the top 10 teams make it. But if you're a number 1 or number 2 seed, you get a semifinals bye. So Pirates will have to play until Friday. I believe March 13th is the date. Now, they still have a regular season game between now and then. They finish up the regular season Saturday, March 7th against a good Tulsa team. But if you're Kim McNeil, do you play this finale like a normal game, Phillip, or do you rest your starters? How do you handle this?
So first off, I was wrong. You were right. It doesn't start till the 5th, which is the 4th for us. So it is tomorrow night. So I was wrong. I apologize. Got all amped up. Second time I've messed that up
now
today.
I'm all excited for
I know. I did it with the basketball thing. Those games aren't till tomorrow night, so I'm sorry. So if you're Kim McNeil, I think, you want to kind of rest starters, but also you got to think, you got the midweek off this week. Then you're going to play a team who's played at least one game, possibly more. Like, you're only playing like one game in the matter of a week and a half, almost 2 weeks. So I think you've got to be smart with this one. Yes, you don't want anybody hurt. Yes, you want to kind of rest everybody up, but like, you at least want them to go out there and play and not get rusty and, play 3/4 of the game or so like you normally would, because at the end of the day, I mean, could you imagine not playing a meaningful basketball game since last Saturday, and they don't play again till next, what will be like Thursday or Friday before they actually play again? So like, they've got a while. They've got to handle this. The bye's at a weird spot. They getting the bye the week of the final week of the season kind of throwing this, I think, for a little bit of a loop, Stephen.
It's a tough predicament, and you definitely don't want to get anybody hurt. So if anybody's banged up, maybe hold them out. But you want that live feel as well. So again, Saturday, March 7th, 3 p.m. against Tulsa will be the regular season finale, and then they will play the semifinals game Friday, March 13th. It'll be a 9 o'clock Eastern tip-off. Of course, it's scheduled for that, but there's also a game at 7, so it'll probably be more like 9:30. So hey, we already know when the Lady Pirates will play, and we know they're one win away once they get down to Birmingham from making the conference championship. So more on that next week, and we'll talk more hoops as well leading into the end of this week and to next week's tournament. All right, guys, we've come to the end of the show. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. Fun show. Appreciate Phillip for all his insight. Thanks to everybody for the questions, comments, chat. We'll be back tomorrow, 12 noon, previewing ECU, UNCW, and more. This has been Hoist the Colors.
This has been Hoist the Colors with your host, Stephen Igo. Get a recap of this show at 943thegame.com and on your IBX Media app, on Twitter, Facebook, or anywhere you get your podcasts. Tune in weekdays at noon to get your ECU sports fix with Stephen Igo and